Welcome to all of you. This show is How's Your ePresence, and we're so glad that you're here with us today. We are that show that talks about anything that has to do with marketing, whatever that little pathway may be that you would like answered on marketing. We do that. That's our goal, is to help you figure out those nuggets. And today is no different. We've got a great guest today that's going to talk about video, and we'll get into that in a minute. This is the time of year that it is a good idea to look at your marketing plans. And so pull out your marketing plan, pull out the one that you did for this year. Maybe it needs to be updated. Maybe you've got some strategies that need to be modified. You're in the right place. We'll give you some ideas on things that you can do next year in your marketing plan. How's Your ePresence is produced by ePresence, and I am Mark Galvin, your host. We always trying to create a library. So if you're looking at that strategy for next year and you wonder what you should plug into it, go back and look at our library. We've added a lot of content this year that'll help you come up with new strategies, including how to use social media in the insurance world. We just had a conversation with Cheryl Moore of Wink Inc. I love that name, Wink Inc. We spoke to her, and especially because insurance and the insurance space kind of falls into that financial analyst space, is a regulated space. So how do you do social media in that space? We did that with Cheryl Moore. We talked about that just recently. We also had a conversation with Howie Zales about how to conduct profitable live events. There's those conversations and many, many more. Love for you to go back and check those out. We run our shows live, which means if you're tuning in, and I see people tuning in now, you can ask questions and we will pose those to our guest. So throw those questions in the chat box. The best place to throw questions is on the YouTube channel. If you're watching on LinkedIn, we love you. We appreciate you watching us on LinkedIn. For some reason, we don't get those comments as readily on the LinkedIn side as we do here on YouTube or on Facebook. So if you want to ask a question, pop over to YouTube. It's a better spot. We're always running shows on either Tuesday at 10 or Thursday at 3. We'd love for you to join us. We'd love for you to submit questions. But to do that, you've got to be subscribed. So while you're here, hit that subscribe. There it is. Hit that subscribe button. You would figure I would realize it's not my left hand. It's the right hand. Hit that subscribe button. You'll get notified when we go live, and you can always ask a question of our guest. So specifically, what are we going to talk about today? We're going to talk about videos, how to make them better, how to use video to grow your pipeline to produce more. We're going to talk about how short videos can solve pain points. How about that? A video can solve pain points. And also, if we get to it, if we have time, we'll talk about captioning videos and potentially why that is so important. So just remember, if you're live, here's what I'd love to do. If you are tuning in live, plug a little note in the comment that says where you're watching from. We'd love to know where you are. Gives our guests a good sense of where our audience is tuning in from, because you're going to find that we have people from all over the world watching. So let me tell you about our guest today. Our guest is Chris Bogue. He is with Chris Bogue Communications. He is a writer and a coach. He specializes in short videos that drive revenue. He's a veteran of sketch comedy and improv. Oh, no. I don't know if I can. I hope I don't get uncomfortable, because improv is one of those cool things. It's actually a great thing for all of us to do to help with our public speaking skills. So, veteran of sketch comedy and improv. He specializes in 30-second videos in Gmail and LinkedIn that teaches people more. And you can check out his YouTube channel. He is extremely talented and very funny. I think that you'll like that. So check that out. Reminder, if you have a question, go ahead and just slap it there in the comments. We will throw that question in front of Chris, and let's see if we can challenge him. Let's see if we can stump him on a question today. So feel free to ask those questions, and we'll share that with him. I think that that's all of my early show notes. So let's see if we can bring Chris up to the stage. Where is Chris? Chris, welcome. How are you, sir?
I'm great, Mark. How are you today?
I'm good. I'm so glad you're here. Tell me a little bit about improv. What did you, how do you get involved in improv and why?
Why is a really good question. I got involved with improv when I was real young. I watched Whose Line Is It Anyway? And I loved it. And then I found groups. I formed a group in high school. After college, I went to the Second City in Chicago. I learned sketch
Second
comedy.
City.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. What was that show they used to do? Or they still do a TV show in Canada?
So yeah, Second City, there's a branch in Chicago and a branch in Toronto. They've been doing it for a long time. And yeah, that's where everybody came from. So, in Canada, that was like, Eugene Levy and, all those people. And then in Chicago, it was
That's
John
so
Belushi
cool.
and Dan Aykroyd and Tina Fey. And, a lot of people learned at Second City because it's not Jedi school. It's not magic. All it does is it teaches you a creative process. And it teaches you that if you want to do creative work, you have to structure it, and
the whole part of being creative. And there's this, I love the conversation about creativity and business people, air quotes, right? Business people don't see themselves as being creative. However, I would argue that they are creative because they have problems that they have to solve. And the way you solve problems is by being creative. So getting into a program like that is a great idea. Kind of look at those ways and activate the part of your brain that forces you to think outside the box. And it's, cliche, lots of cliches here, but still very important. Well, we didn't bring you on to talk about improv, but I just think that that's really interesting. Do me a favor, help our audience. Tell everybody what you do and why do you do it?
Okay, great question. So I coach either individuals or sales teams or marketing teams or customer success teams how to sell on video. So my clients, some of them are business owners, some of them are CEOs, some of them are sales teams. But basically, it became very difficult to get somebody's attention once COVID hit. People left their offices.
Amen.
Yeah, I was I was doing higher education technology sales. So I was calling professors and all of a sudden they weren't in their offices anymore. And I still had to hit my quota, right? So I had to figure out, how am I going to get these people to notice me? I was selling to PhDs, so they're very finicky. They're very intelligent. They're very short-tempered with cold callers. And I discovered...
I think all people are short. I think everybody's short with cold callers, quite frankly. But yeah, I suppose the academics are probably even worse.
Yeah, well, I learned that you don't have to go in cold if you have video. So I do like a couple different techniques. I am like a video person because, everyone does have the ability. We have the technology to do video well, and yet very few people are doing it in business. And most of the time it's because they're either scared, they have stage fright and they think they're going to look stupid.
Right.
Or they get writer's block. They don't know what to say. They ramble for 5 minutes and it takes too long and nobody watches the video anyway and they get discouraged. So I was like, I have this ability. In Second City, one of the things they teach you is like a blackout scene. How do you write a scene that's 10 seconds and it's one joke, you hit the lights. And I'm like, I know how to write in this really short style. I've been doing sales for 10 years, so I know how to ask for a meeting. I know how to ask for business. And it's so much easier to do these things in person. It's so much easier when you're able to do things in the room. Well, if I just get on camera, that's basically the same effect as being in the room, right?
Right.
And yeah, I discovered that gatekeepers can't keep you out when you're on video. If I usually ask for permission, and my strategy is usually I make content, right? So if you go check me out on LinkedIn or something, I make a lot of smart, useful content that's going to help solve people's problems, but it's also funny, right? I put a lot of comedy in there. I put characters in there. I made a horror movie on Halloween. I do a lot of like crazy stuff that is not me asking for business. But when I do want to ask for business, I learned that if I show up on video and I just say, hey, Mark, I listened to the most recent episode of your podcast. I think we might be aligned. Let's have a chat later this week.
I love that.
Yeah, it's.
I think that's brilliant.
Yeah,
it is. And, this is a good kind of emphasis point that I'd love to bring up. And that is, You turn a cold call into a warm call. You turn the ability, it is an in-person kind of introduction that you're using with video. It is very, very smart. One of the things that I encourage our clients to do on LinkedIn is go into LinkedIn Messenger. You can send a video through LinkedIn Messenger for the most part. If someone has those options turned off, you can't. But most people, the default is that it's turned on. So you can send a video message versus a little text, and you're very likely to get a response. And here's why. You can't send a video message to a gazillion people. You can only send to one person. So Chris, I know you well enough now that it wouldn't make a difference. I could send you a note and you would respond. But if I did not know you and I thought we had that lane, I could send a message through LinkedIn and you're going to respond, because I'll say to that, you have a video and I'm talking to you and I say, Chris, I'm going to find something specific about you. And I'll say that, Chris, I see that you do great work on videos. I'd love to have a conversation about blah. Mm-hmm. If you think that's something is worthwhile, let me know. You're going to feel like there's more of a commitment there. I've worked harder to communicate with you, and chances are you're very likely to respond to me.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing about personalization too. People are always trying to figure out like, oh, what are the magic words? But the greatest bit of personalization you can have is saying, hey, I know who you are and I understand what your business does.
Yeah.
And if I'm usually what I do actually is now, because I'm obsessed with LinkedIn. I'm connecting with 1 million people every day. And if I want someone's business, I ask them, I say, hey, I think I could add some value to what you're doing. Would you like me to send you either a 30-second voice note or a 30-second video explaining the value I can bring?
Wow.
And people ignore it. But if they don't, and if someone's like, sure, I can probably get a meeting with them,
Yeah.
And I do the same thing. I actually flip that around too. Now that I'm a business owner, I'll get all these generic messages all the time of someone being like, hey, I'm really interested in your business. I'd like to learn more about you. I send a message back saying, great. Want to send me a short video or a voice note telling me what it is you're curious about? And we'll see if we can meet. And now they've got to think. They've got to actually tell me why it's worth my while to meet. And yeah, that strengthens the relationship. Now, when we get into that call, we both know each other a little more.
So one of the reasons that I think people they get a little nervous about doing this is because they're afraid they're going to screw something up. Maybe it'd be really worthwhile for us to let people know, okay, this is something that you don't want to do on your short videos. What is call it a pitfall, or what are mistakes that you see that people typically make when they do these short videos?
Mm-hmm. It's a great question. The biggest mistake that people make is they look at this part of the phone. They look at the screen. When you look at the screen, your eyes are going to dart around because they're doing all these little sensitive movements. And most people fixate on their appearance. They start looking at themselves and they're like, oh, I don't like how my hair looks today. And I don't like this lighting. And, they get really self-conscious and they look nervous, whereas if you flip the phone around and you're talking to this, you don't have to see anybody. You don't have to see yourself, and your eyes can lock on to your viewer. And
yeah, because you're looking at the camera, right? You don't have anything else to look at, and you're not looking at yourself. I mean, one of the things that I do on Zoom calls is you could do this. There's those little, I guess, 3 buttons, 3 little dots that appear in the top right corner of my slide when I'm on a Zoom call. I turn that off. So I'm not, listen, I think I'm not the only vain person in the world. I may be, but I have a tendency to look at me when I'm on the screen. So if I get rid of me, I'm able to focus on the other people in the call or the other person in the call.
Normal.
Same sort of thing, right?
It's normal. So people worry about their appearance. And I don't think that's vain. I think, especially if you're not a person who does a lot of performance, when you're making a video and you're about to send it to people, it's very natural to worry about how you look. And when I coach people, that is a huge part of my coaching, is just helping them find the confidence not to care. And I tell them, like, look, if you were a model, right? If I was hiring you for a modeling gig, your hair would need to be perfect, and we would need to make sure that like you've got makeup on so the cameras are hitting you the right way. But everyone understands we're just home in our living rooms half the time doing this work. So if you show up, your iPhone or whatever you're using as your phone probably has an amazing camera in it. And if you're looking straight at the audience and you know who they are and you're talking directly to them and you thought about the words, it will be professional. Also caption it. I want to talk about the captions today because it is such a game changer. Very few people do it. I got into this business in part because I knew that captioning was important. And I looked around and I saw these people whose title was VP of Video, VP of Strategic Content, and their videos didn't have captions. And I'm like, okay, well, you're missing half the audience there, you know? Deaf people can't enjoy your content. People who have you muted because they're feeding their baby or they're on, you know, they're in an Uber or something, they can't hear you. And if they see your video and they don't have the sound on and they can't hear you, they're just going to scroll past. So yeah, that's another thing.
There's another reason that captioning is a really important thing. And that is, especially on LinkedIn, is that the chances of someone paging through their LinkedIn profile and seeing a video and not being able to turn on the audio because they may be sitting at a desk, or they may not be in those environments where you can have earbuds on. So they don't have sound, and you have you may miss those people who are in those environments. If they see the caption, they could either determine they want to hear it, put in earbuds, or potentially save it for later. But yeah, I think that captioning is really good. Here's one other thing. It's great for SEO. Search engine optimization loves captioning because of all those keywords, and Google will send more people to your video, especially if it's on YouTube, which is Google. So yeah, I think captioning is really important. I'm glad that you mentioned that.
Yeah. And you know, the big thing that I'm trying to teach people is like anyone can do this and you don't have to be perfect.
Right.
I don't know if you're a Ted Lasso fan. I know I've got a lot of Ted Lasso fans.
It's on my list. I haven't started to watch it yet. I've heard so much about it. I've got to watch that show.
It is this wonderfully positive show. It's very supportive. And I actually have this weird connection with one of the stars and writers of it. I made a video about it this week. And one of the co-creators, Brendan Hunt, you know, he had this theater that I performed in when I was a young man. And their motto was "Dare to Suck." That was what it said. It was, and that doesn't mean try to suck. That means go up and try to do something big and put your heart into it. And who cares if it fails? And there were no time limits. There were no restrictions on content. The only rule was don't hurt yourself or anybody else and clean up after your act. And yeah, it just taught me you can go on stage and you can do pretty much anything as long as you commit to it.
Dare to suck. I think that's great. In business, Henry Ford I think this is the right quote I'm attributing to him. And if someone's watching and you want to correct me, I don't have a problem with that. But I believe he said, if you're not succeeding, if your business is failing, then you're not failing enough, right? That it's better to fail and learn than it is to not fail and not succeed. And so most successful businesses have made a lot of mistakes. So I believe that there is I believe that's something, I mean, that came directly from Henry Ford. And that's really what you're saying is, you know, daring people to suck means pushing them to a point where they are beyond where they would normally, and maybe make an error, but you're going to learn from those and you're going to get better.
Right. And
right, I'm looking at time. I got another question for you. Actually, I got two more questions I want to squeeze in here. This is great. Short videos can solve small pain points like onboarding. Give me an example of how that works, because a lot of our audience is looking to solve pain points for their clients and would like to know how video can do that for them.
Okay, so customer success is something I love to use video for, right? Because half the time when you have a customer success team, it's because you have a really finicky product or a really complicated product with a lot of moving parts, and you need someone to like sit there and walk someone through it manually. And I found that you could do that on video. So my onboarding process, my business is completely remote, right? And my show is about how do you build and manage a company that's completely remote. So when someone hires me, you know, we schedule their coaching session, and a day or two before, they get an email and it's got a video in it, and it's me walking them through everything they need to know. So it's me first. I give them a little pep talk. I'm like, hey, I'm so excited to work with you. I know it might be a little scary. I still get scared too. That's fine. I'm going to take care of you. Here's how you frame your shot. And then it goes into an example of like, here's where you put your camera. Here's how far away you want to be. Here's where you want to put the lights. And it ends with me saying, hey, now that you've watched this, please send me a 10-second test video from where you're going to be filming during our coaching session. And now I can check their shot and I can make sure everything's framed well and it's going to be easy for me to edit. And it's also built up a little bit of commitment from them, right? Because now I'm getting them in the habit of like making and sending things to me. And when they show up for the session, they are perfectly framed. They are exactly where they need to be. And they're ready to look good on camera.
Oh, that's really awesome. And I really like the idea of onboarding through video. This is something that, listen, I cannot manage somebody's social media with a lot of information from them, right? Mm-hmm. So, Chris, if we were going to manage your social media, we need to know much more than a 30-second or a 30-minute conversation. We have to pull a lot of information. And I do think that putting videos together describes that may help soften some of the, you need to talk to me for 45 minutes. Yeah. And we could probably do a video just describing those things and people can watch it and pull that data from it. Gosh, I love that information. We're going to need to do that. Morgan, note to self, we need to come up with a video for our onboarding so that people understand what's going on. I like that a lot.
Yeah. Every stage of business, it works literally every single stage. If you have a great customer and they get done and you had a great experience, make a video thanking them. Say, oh my gosh, Mark, that was so great. You can ask for referrals on video. You can do any stage of the pipeline. You could do a 30-second video. And now if you get that person's attention, you didn't need to take them for 45 minutes. You just
I think that's cool. Point. So this comment was up on the screen a couple of questions ago from this gentleman, Jason Wetland. And I know what he does for a living. He puts down luxury vinyl plank in homes, or for that matter, commercial. It doesn't matter where. He likes putting those floors down. He's a good guy that could use some of these videos because his product is, well, it's a visual product. At the end of the day, it really is a visual product. And not only could he show some of the samples of floors, but he could describe, hey, here's an example of something that, some of the steps that you need to go through to get ready for it. Or here's another one. He could even do a video show. How do you know you need new floors? You need new floors when, and then you could show video of, look at the floor separating, or look how you can see the backing on carpet and blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Quick hit videos like that would be really good for somebody like him in his space. We give lots of examples. All right. I got another question for you. Checking the time. We're doing great, by the way. This is perfect. When you create videos for very specific targets, and you're emailing them, what is the result? First of all, there's a bit of a mind shift here. Emailing a video, talk about that. How do you do an email with the video, right? If all you got is a phone, number one. And then what happens when you've seen people use this format in the past?
Okay, great questions. So, there are a number of tools that you can use to incorporate video into your email and LinkedIn. My go-to is Vidyard. I am an affiliate partner for them. So I refer my clients whenever they ask me which video platform should I use. I say use Vidyard. You can upload captions
Chris,
there.
How do I find Vidyard? Is it vidyard.com? How do I find it?
Vidyard.com, yeah.
All right, Morgan will check that out. You keep talking. She'll track it down and put it on the screen when she finds it.
So super cool. You can upload a bunch of videos at the same time. You can auto-generate a thumbnail. And then the most important part is you can watch your analytics, right? So I always watch my open rates. And let's say I'm going after 10 VIPs. I just make 10 videos. I shoot them back to back to back, all in one setting, all in the same video file. And then I chop them up on my computer and I just send them all out. And then I watch the open rates. And if somebody's not opening it, I might give them a call and be like, hey, Mark, I sent you a video, hope you'll check it out. But if I can see that you've watched my video 6 times, I'm up here. I got into your head. And that means you're thinking about it.
That is really, really cool. So we've got on the screen here, it is vidyard.com.
Yes.
And that is really awesome. Especially, listen, if I can see that somebody is opening up what I'm sending, that does prove to me that there's valuable things. I mean, one of the greatest things when it comes to opening, seeing if somebody's opened up a an email is on QuickBooks Online. You can see if somebody's opened an invoice, and that's the greatest thing in the world.
Mm-hmm.
So you know that they actually received the invoice, or at least somebody at that org has seen it. That information can be super, super valuable to all people. So being able to watch that someone actually saw the video, knows it's a way to see if that email is actually getting through to them. If it's not even being opened, the video may have gone to junk, and it may be that you need to send from another email address to get to them. I really like that. So Vidyard will give you a little thumbnail, which will show that you did a video, and it's easy to click on. Have you found any security systems that block Vidyard, or is it pretty good about getting through those firewalls?
It's pretty good. They've been doing it for about 7 years now. So
wow.
They're a trusted brand. And then the thing too that is nice is like, if I cold call you and you don't pick up, that, that effort is wasted. But let's say there is a video sitting in your junk folder, right? I'll do really creative things. I'll reach out on social media. I write letters, Mark. If it's an important VIP, I will write them a letter. And I'll say, hey, I wrote you a video because I'm really interested in what your business is doing.
Oh, that's
and I
cool.
think it might have got stuck in your junk folder. I sent it on this day, and the subject line was this, and I hope you get a chance to watch it. And sometimes that person doesn't watch my video until 3 weeks later. But I make sure that it's basically like the slow motion bullet in the Matrix, right? So it's not there yet. But when it does hit you, it is well crafted, and I thought of the words carefully. And again, I'm looking right at you and I'm speaking to you directly and talking about you. So I don't care if it doesn't get there for 3 weeks.
Yeah, I think that's really cool. Well, Chris, this has been a great conversation. We're officially out of time, which I hate. You can never employ enough video in your social media, in your just interactions. And we've come up with a lot of great ways to harness that medium across multiple platforms, not just social media. Where do you want people to track you down? Where do you want people to find you?
You can find me at christopherbogue.com. So you can see all my videos there. Again, most of them are funny. They'll teach you a lot about sales. If you're new to video selling, it's a great resource. My LinkedIn information is also here. I post on LinkedIn every day. And you can also find me on TikTok and Reddit and Instagram at Chris Sells His Soul. And I'm also on Twitter at Chris Sells Soul. So you can find me wherever you like to consume content. I am making video everywhere.
I love it. Well, we'll put all of your links in our show notes. So folks, if you did not get any of that, don't worry. You can go to our show notes and hit a link or two. If you're looking for Chris on LinkedIn, you can find him super easy. Just go and search Chris Bogue, Bogue, Chris Bogue, and you'll find him on LinkedIn. He is listed as a creator on LinkedIn, which is a new thing on that. Well, it's new-ish on LinkedIn, and you should be able to track him down. And you can always hit us if you can't find him, but check show notes. We'll have all of his links there. Chris, thank you so much for being with us today. We appreciate the time that you spend with us and the knowledge that you were able to share with our audience. I would love to stay in touch with you as you discover more, because you will. That's just how it goes, right? Come back to us and say, here's some new ways that you can use video to solve some of the things, give solutions to small and medium-sized businesses. So thanks for being with us today.
Pleasure's all mine, Mark. Thanks a lot.
We'll see you soon.
Take care.
So for the rest of you folks, we're so glad that you joined us today. You know what we do at ePresence by now. We're a full-service social media agency, which means we help individuals and companies get online and make sure that their channels are active. So if you have a company account, one of my favorite examples is this. You've got a company, you know that company needs to be online. You know that those social media accounts need to be active, but you also want to activate the executives because they need to support the company brand. We do that. We activate the company account, and then we can get those individual profiles active as well, which is one of the best places to share content is on personal pages on LinkedIn, because it still has unbelievably great organic reach. So check that out. We can help you with that. We also offer consulting. We do consulting for smaller businesses that don't necessarily have the bandwidth to be able to hire a company to manage social media outright. Well, we can help you come up with a good strategy so that you can execute that yourself. Or maybe you've got a sales team that needs to be coached on how to use LinkedIn better on an individual basis. We do training as well. And we can do that virtual or in person. So you just let us know. We'd love to help you with that. All of our services are at a discount for you, our viewer, because we love that you're here. If you would like to take advantage of that, hit that link right there, e-pr.me/listener. So if you're listening to this on the podcast, e-pr is short for ePresence, e-pr.me/listener. How's Your ePresence is everywhere. We love that you're here today. You can catch us on LinkedIn. Yes, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. We're always running the shows live there. If you miss a show, we're always dropping it on a podcast channel. So subscribe to our podcast channel wherever you get your podcast, and you'll be able to just get that show to appear. Here's what I had somebody run into me at one of our partners this week at Spire. They said that they like to listen to our podcast, and when they hear something that think, oh, I want to see that, they'll go to our YouTube channel, Facebook channel, or LinkedIn. They actually said YouTube, and go watch it if there's something. There was, we did this with Cheryl from Wink Inc. We actually shared our screen. And so somebody that watching that podcast may want to go back and see the video to see actually the examples that we had. We're always dropping content every week, either on Tuesdays or Thursdays, as I mentioned, and dropping the podcast on Friday. If you're looking for information on ePresence, you can find us at ePresence.me. That's ePresence.me, because it's all about you. We have great content there. Check out our blog posts. Check out our podcast channel. Always good information, as well as info on ePresence itself. This show is produced by ePresence. Our producer, writer, social media extraordinaire is Morgan Wood. Until next time, for my guest, Chris Bogue, I am Mark Galvin. Thank you for watching How's Your ePresence?